What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Just Play Jay back with another video for you guys. I know I had mentioned in my YouTube short that I was going to do an unboxing of the Anbernic RG505, but I decided to skip all that because there's so many other videos out there and I didn't want to just kind of waste your time just doing an unboxing of what was in the box of the RG505 and the accessories and all that stuff. So I'm sure that you guys pretty much all know what's in there from my other videos. So I just want to kind of just cut straight to the chase of, the RG505. So basically, I'm a fan of it. I like the RG505. As y'all can see, I ordered the gray one, and I'm a huge fan of it. I like the design. I like the form factor of it. I'm not really mad at the bezels. I feel like it fits the handheld. And I know I may get some comments, talking about, or people talking about how they love the Retro Pocket 3 Plus over the RG505. And, that's their opinion. I mean, I like the RG505. The Retro Pocket 3 Plus, but I'm still kind of, I feel like, Retro is a little shady for just the way they marketed their devices. And I'm sure that there are reviewers out there that have talked about it, and they mentioned that yes, the Retro Pocket 3 came out, shortly, it came out maybe months after the Retro Pocket 3 Plus, which was fine. And then, 2 months later, then you have the Retro Pocket 3 Plus. And for those that were so highly fascinated by the Retro Pocket 3 and just, for them to shell out $120 for that, and then later on just, go out and having to reserve or pre-order a Retro Pocket 3 Plus for like $150. For those that were doing it early, there was a $25 discount or a coupon or whatever, but still, just shelling out the extra money just to buy the Retro Pocket 3 Plus when it could have initially been just the Retro Pocket 3 Plus only on the market. It would have saved people a lot of time and money to just buy that specific handheld, which would have been the Retro Pocket 3 Plus. And initially, and just like, me and many others, not everybody has money to spend like that, to spend on the Retro Pocket 3 Plus. To just go out and buy random handhelds. If people like that have money, then good for y'all for having it. But I, as many other people, do not have that type of money just to go out and just buy handheld after handheld after handheld. Yes, I was able to buy the Anbernic Win600. That's practically paid off. I paid it off. I did like a payment plan because I like the idea of just, paying it off in 3 good, easy payments, and that was totally fine for me. So that's officially paid off. And, with this RG505, I was on a payment plan for this too. So it worked out very well in my favor, and I'm a huge fan of just doing that. But again, not everybody has money to spend like that to just go out and buy handheld after handheld. It's good to see the reviews, but I'm just telling you this as a customer and as a content creator. Go ahead. For those that did end up getting the Retro Pocket 3 and the Retro Pocket 3 Plus, more power to you, more respect. But for right now, they lost my loyalty as far as just, getting retro handhelds for now, unless they come out with one that's really special. But for right now, I'm a fan of the Anbernic device. And I'll just go ahead and just kind of show you the features of it. As you can see, overall form factor is really nice on it. I like how it looks. I like these Hall joysticks. Like, they're very comfortable in the hands when I'm playing with it. They're very smooth to the touch. Before I, did this review video, I actually tested a few games on it, and I'm going to show you some later on in this video. You can see the gameplay for yourself and judge for yourself. But I like these Hall joysticks, and they're clickable L3 and R3. You can hear the clicks. Very nice. They're very smooth to the touch, and they're like the Win600, but I like these Hall joysticks actually a little bit better than the Win600. The Win600 is I mean, definitely good for the PC gaming, and it's definitely great for emulation, up to like PS3 and Switch. So definitely good for that. And yeah, I'm a fan. I like these joysticks. Like, they remind me of, you know, the D-pads. They remind me of the ones for like the RG353M and all that stuff. Or, I mean, I don't have those devices, but I have the Win 600, and it feels very similar to that. And then these buttons here, I mean, they have the Switch style buttons here. And I think overall they were just trying to make this look like a Switch design, which was a decent idea with their Anbernic logo. But these buttons, they feel really comfortable. Like, I don't feel like they're gonna, you know, stay stuck or whatever. Like, they bounce, they have a lot of bounce to it. Like, a lot of bounce. Okay, so let me continue. So basically, this is for your, you know, micro SD card. I think it goes up to a max of 512 gigabytes. I think it could go more, but for me, all I need is a 256 gigabyte card, and I'm fine. So I actually have like a couple of them. And then this is your power switch. When I tried to press it on, I thought I could just press it on and turn it on, but I guess you have to hold it until you feel like a rumbling, like a vibration, and it just means it's on. And then, like I said, you have the two speakers at the bottom. The speakers actually sound really good. They sound really nice. So I'm a huge fan of that. Okay. And so here you have your back button. And then actually on the screen, you can actually do a touch screen, and you can, you know, go back on it too. But if you don't feel like doing all that, and, you know, you want to kind of keep your screen as clean as possible without any smudges, then this back button will also help. And then this button here, I'm a fan of. So it's like, when you turn the device on, this button helps you go to your Anbernic front end. So I know I've heard a lot of complaints on other videos, like Retro Game Core and like ETA Prime and all them. They're not a fan of the front end, because I guess they like more of the front ends that have, I love Daijisho. Daijisho is like the best Android front end so far. But this one is just like a basic front end, you know, just for like your games and with the preloaded emulators from RetroArch and all that stuff. But this is a good front end. I mean, it doesn't have like pictures of the games or whatever, but you can just play your games from there, and it'll automatically just run through the RetroArch emulator. And then I think, I'm sorry. And then you have of course you have your start to select button, or select and start buttons here. So, which I'm a fan of. I think the Retro Pocket 3 Plus just has one on the top here, and that's totally fine. But I prefer my buttons to be on the side, like in the front, like front facing, just like the Retro Pocket 2 Plus was. So I wish they had made it more of a design of the Retro Pocket 2 Plus in a sense, but just with a wider 16:9 inch screen. And so that's totally fine. But anyway, on the top here, you have your inline shoulder buttons here. I'm actually a fan of it. I mean, when I've played some games on it, it doesn't affect my hands. So I like where the inline buttons are. So you have the R1 and R2. And when I'm playing the games, it does not confuse me. Like, I never get confused with which button I'm touching, because I have muscle memory, maybe because I'm used to having previous devices that had those inline buttons before. So, and then you have your L1 and L2 button, and then you have your headphone jack, and then the USB OTG port for, you know, transferring files and for charging your device and all that stuff. Unfortunately, it doesn't have an HDMI out port. I'm totally fine with that. I mean, the whole purpose of me getting this handheld was just to play it as a handheld. It also, I mean, they claimed that, or whichever video I was watching from a previous thing, like, they claimed that the Anbernic has a casting functionality to where you play games and stuff like that. We can test it out, but I feel like there'll be like an input delay, so that's not, you know, I mean, that's not a thing that everybody's, you know, a huge fan of. We could try that out later on in this video, and we can see whether we like it or not, but I have a feeling it's not going to be that great. So, but otherwise, like I said, it's just a good handheld. And then, of course, you have these little rubber grips, which is very, you know, very smooth to the touch. But when I'm holding it, it's comfortable in my hands. And of course, you have the Anbernic logo in the back, and then the smooth grips on the side. And then on the side of this, you have your volume rocker. So overall, I mean, I'm a fan of the device. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's, you know, I like the way it feels in my hands. Like, I have some decent sized hands, so it's not like baby hands. So when I'm holding it and I'm playing my games, yeah, it has that claw effect, but it's not to the point where my fingers are uncomfortable. It's like this will never strain my hands because my front index finger is always going to be here. And then if I'm just, doing like, regular 3D games or whatever for scrolling or for moving my character, it's very comfortable in the hands. So I have no complaints about it overall. I mean, a lot of people do. But it's fine for me. Like for those that, prefer the Retro Pocket 3 Plus, that's totally fine. But for me, this is comfortable. I like this. I like this overall. I'm not just saying that because I'm trying to sell it to you. I mean, I'm a huge fan of it. But, for those that do like it, let me know in the comments below what you like about it. And then I guess maybe what you don't like about it. But I think the main con for a lot of people is like no TV out. But for me, it's a handheld. That's the purpose of buying it. It's a handheld. If you want to get a console, then if you want something with HDMI out, then get a console that has those type of games on it. There's plenty of them out there. Retro Pocket 2 Plus is one for sure. But I guess everybody wants everything with the high-end emulation and all that stuff. There's other devices out there that can do just that. And that's what it's good for. And for the price, I think it's $150. At least when I bought it, it was $147.99. With taxes about I think it came out to like maybe $170 if I'm correct. And I didn't get the bag. I didn't get the preloaded SD card that it came with because I have my own games. And I prefer to have my own games on it on my own card. But I thought this was pretty good. So I'm a huge fan. So I'm going to turn it on for you guys so you can kind of get an idea of what it looks like. You get greeted with that Anbernic logo with the winking Android character thingy. Okay. And I think, somebody did like a time kind of how long it boots up. It takes about maybe 30 seconds just for everything to boot up or close to it. So didn't actually do a timer here. But while, this thing is loading, I'm gonna just give you a little quick specification, like a quick spec of what this has overall. You can kind of see in the top right corner, that's what it has as far as the specs. And yeah, so I do like this live wallpaper. It's pretty cool, it's pretty awesome, I like it. It's really nice, and I heard some, complaints about it using up some RAM, but, hopefully it doesn't take away from the gameplay. I don't think it does. And so I'd mentioned here, if I press this button, this will take me straight to the Anbernic front end. And, you greet it with this. So you have, it's not fancy or anything like that, but it gets the job done. So you have your CPS2. Can I start from the beginning? Let's see. Okay, so it starts with NES. So it starts with NES. I mean, I have no games on it right now. Sega Master System. I have CPS2. I have 28 games on it. And I didn't load PS1 yet. Nintendo 64, I didn't load anything for that just yet. CPS3, still loading games on here, you guys, but... And then at least Nintendo DS, this one... I don't know why it says 829 games. I don't have 829 games on it. I guess the location of it, you can set it up a certain way. So when you do that, you have to actually scan your games. Yeah, for some reason it's showing every single game. But I have a couple of Nintendo DS games on here that actually run really well. So yeah, let me just try one of these. And it takes you straight to the Jurassic emulator. So right now it's not even fully set up yet. I wonder if everything's pre-mapped and pre-buttoned. Okay, it seems like it's pre-mapped. So I'm pressing the buttons here. Okay. That's me moving around, okay. And this is what it looks like by default. Oh, I almost fell off. Don't want to do that. Okay. Okay, and that's what it looks like. So basically, okay, let me get past this guy. Okay, and then you can just pause it, and then I think to get out of it, oh well, this is through the drastic emulator, so you have to just kind of do the touch screen and then just kind of like just go here and then scroll down, quit, and that's it. Oops. Let me get out of this. Okay. And oops. I'm pressing the wrong button here, guys. Okay. And there you are. And that's just a sample of what the front end does. But like before, there's no pictures or anything like that. No scrapers, no nothing. You just have to kind of know what games you have on here. And I'm totally fine with that. It doesn't have to have any picture, but you do have this nice, lovely background here that just kind of shows, like for each one, like PSP, it shows like Kratos or something like that. And basically that's all you're gonna get. You're not gonna have any pictures or anything like that that show on here. And it'll just show like the names of the games for your system. And that's pretty much it. And then if you don't want to use the front end, you can always use the emulators, which it comes preloaded with. So you have, your ETHX2, you have your Dolphin MMJR2, Dolphin emulator, Citra, PPSSPP, ReDream, Nintendo 64 emulator, you have your Nintendo DS emulator, you have the Sega Saturn emulator, you have OpenBOR, and then you have Final Burn Afro, you have the PlayStation 1 emulator. I mean, all of these emulators come preloaded. And then I downloaded a couple of games on here, like for Android, because, we finally have Google Play. I mean, which was a cool feature. I mean, there was a huge complaint about that, but then they finally added that on there because there was so much, controversy over not having it. It would have made the device less marketable, but thankfully they added that, so I'm totally fine with that. But overall, I mean, I do like the device, but I just want to show you guys some gameplay, so we'll just move on to the next clip. Okay, as far as emulation goes, starting with some gameplay, anything from like the older emulators up to Nintendo 64 will be pretty much playable. But pretty much, so I'm starting with Dreamcast using the ReDream emulator. And as you can see with Marvel vs. Capcom, it runs very smooth at 1280 by 960 resolution. Next up, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, again using the ReDream emulator at 1280 by 960 resolution. The gameplay flows very smoothly, controls are very precise. With Wolverine, I'm executing the moves and it's coming out seamlessly using the D-pad. Next on the list, one of my favorite games on Dreamcast is Power Stone. Again, using 1280 by 960. Gameplay is fairly smooth, resolution looks very nice, colors are crisp, and gameplay is very responsive. Last but not least, the OG of games for Dreamcast, Sonic Adventure. Gameplay is very precise. And again, for those that have not, you have to actually remap the buttons on your ReDream emulator to actually get this game to play very well. I do have a video in my videos. I can put a link down below just to show you how to remap your buttons. But the gameplay is very smooth. Moving on to PSP, you're going to have a decent library of games to play on the PSP. But first to test it out was BlazBlue Continuum 2, and gameplay, as you can see, is very precise. So for any 2D fighting games, you're going to have some pretty good gameplay with no problems. And of course, God of War, Ghost of Sparta. It runs fairly well on the PPSSPP emulator at 2 times resolution. So you're definitely going to not have any problems here. And another game that I thought I'd try, me and My Katamari. Very fun game. As you can see, 2 times resolution, using the PPSSPP emulator. Gameplay is very smooth, no lag. And also I like the cool music. And last but not least that I thought I'd try, some games are not going to run very well on a PPSSPP emulator, so I thought I'd give Killzone Liberation a try, and you're not going to have very much luck with it at all. So the best that I could do was do like 2 times frame skip and 1x resolution, and this is what you get as a result. Gameplay is fairly choppy. I mean, it's playable, but not fun at all. Next up on the list is the Dolphin MMJR emulator, and I'm playing Batman Rise of Senzu. So a nice handful of GameCube games are going to run fairly well on this device. Some may not, but you have to kind of test and see which ones work best for you. And then another one is Metroid Prime. This one is fairly playable. It's not the best level of gameplay, but using the Vulkan emulator on Dolphin MMJR, you're gonna get some decent gameplay at maybe like 26 to 30 frames per second. There are some parts in the game where it is choppy, but at least the game is more playable than on previous devices, namely my Retro Pocket 2 Plus. Up next on the list is Soul Calibur 2. Movement's a lot better. Graphics seem a little bit, definitely a lot more colorful than the MMJR2 emulator. Pretty enjoyable if you ask me. Moving on to Legend of Zelda, The Four Swords Adventures. One of my favorite games to play. Anything that's in 2D is going to play fairly well on this. So you should have no problems playing this game at all. Default settings. Moving on to Wii emulation, again using the Dolphin MMJR emulator. Here I am playing Rayman Origins. Again, anything that's 2D based, is going to run fairly smoothly on this device. The only time you'll have complications is on the 3D games. Some will play decent, some won't. Next up, you have Kirby's Return to Dreamland, again using the Dolphin emulator. As you can see, this one is more like a 2.5D base game, and you can see this one runs fairly well. Actually, it's one of my favorite games to play. Eventually, I'll get a chance to finish it. Moving on to Super Mario Bros. Wii. Now this one is semi-playable. I mean, you can kind of see that's a little choppy, but given the right settings and tweaks, it should be able to run fairly well using the Vulkan open end. Alright, moving on to PS2 using the EtherSX2 emulator. Here I am playing Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition, and I'm using the game settings as OpenGL with -50 underclock, and you can see that the gameplay runs fairly smoothly. And then next up you have God of War 2. This is very typical in other review videos. If you have it at the low settings, you keep it at OpenGL and -50 underclock, maximum underclock, and then -50. This is what you get as a result. You get decent gameplay. Not the best, but at least it's playable. And then one of my favorite games of all time is God Hand. This one is very smooth. You have no complaints from me here. I'm able to enjoy the game with precise accuracy. It's almost like I'm actually playing the PlayStation 2 in my hands. Default settings, no changes. Well, actually, I'm joking. It actually had -50 and Vulcan back in. And then moving on to Citra, I'm playing here Kirby Planet Robobot on the Citra emulator. It is playable, but there is quite a bit of slowdown. Doesn't stop from being a playable game, but a decent number of games will play on the 3DS emulator here, the Citra emulator, but don't count on it to be the actual device to be able to play Citra games on it completely, unless you're just into playing more 2D games in 3D. And here we have New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the Citra emulator, Citra MMJ. And I guess when you start playing the game, the system actually has to go through the shaders for it to actually process smoothly. And then in time, it will be a smooth experience for you. But again, not the best for 3DS emulation, but you can see the improvements over time on the RG505. And then I thought I'd play this game once again because I know in my previous video I didn't do this game justice before because I didn't know how to play it properly. But this is Azure Striker Gunvolt for the 3DS, and like I said, any 2D type game will run very smoothly on this on the Citra MMJ emulator. So you'll have no problems playing these type of games overall. And that should pretty much wrap it up for the gameplay. And we'll move on to my final thoughts in just a bit. So we've reached the final thoughts of the Anbernic RG505. So I'm just gonna let you know about it. So basically, I think overall I actually enjoy the handheld. It's actually great. I have no complaints about it. I love the buttons. I love the Hall joysticks. I like that the USB-C port is good for just transferring files in general for games and all that stuff. And I'm a fan of it. I mean, overall, I like the OLED screen. I like the power button at the bottom. I like the speakers. I do like the front end and the back button on the side. So when I'm actually holding the handheld, it's not actually affecting the buttons at all. There's no buttons being pressed in as I'm playing. I do like overall the inline shoulder buttons. It does not really affect the gameplay when I'm playing my games. I actually enjoy it just as much as I do the stacked shoulder buttons on the Retro Pocket 2 Plus and my Anbernic Win 600. So I have no complaints overall. But I guess I do have a dislike pretty much. For what I'm seeing is when I'm using my micro SD card, I have one to where I can store files up to 4 gigabytes, which is not the best thing for me. That's kind of a dislike for me because I think Russ from Retro Game Core had mentioned that when you use the micro SD card, the RG505 kind of formats it to only be in EXFAT format. So that pretty much means that when you're storing your games or downloading games onto that SD card that you formatted, it only stores up to 4 gigabytes. That's the limit. So any game that's over 4 gigabytes of memory, like God of War or like some Wii games or other PS2 games, it's not going to accept it. So you have to find some way to utilize that storage. But luckily, I found a way to do that. I can probably just let you guys, if y'all want me to do a video on that, I can definitely do that. Just let me know in the comments below. But definitely there is a workaround, and I was fortunately I ended up getting a 256 gig USB drive for my extra games, for my PS2, my Wii games, all my high-end emulation games. So for the SD card that I have in my system, it's up to like GameCube and like NDS and Dreamcast and some Saturn. So like the lower end resolution, the lower end emulation systems, I put that in my SD card for those. For the higher end is the 256 gig drive, but then my system has to read it as an Android drive. So like I said, there is a workaround that, and again, just let me know in the comments below if you want me to post a video about how to make that work for you guys. For any of those that are interested in buying an RG505, or for those that already have one and still don't know what to do, then like let me know for sure. But I mean, I'm able to actually play the games that I want to play and just store them the proper way. So, but otherwise, I mean, yes, that's a dislike of mine. And I mean, overall, yeah, I can't say that HDMI out is a dislike for me. I think I'm actually a fan of it not having HDMI out. I mean, it would have been nice as a bonus, or maybe to utilize the USB-C out thing to where it could display on, like, you know, through an HDMI cord or something like that. We're using a dock station or something like that, but you can't even do that. I tried it, it does not work. So I guess in a future video, I'll probably do like the casting to kind of see if the gameplay works on it, but I feel like there's latency, which is why I didn't put in my review video. But otherwise, I mean, in general, my thoughts are, I think it's a good device. It's definitely worth the $150 that you spend to actually get it. It's a great handheld. It definitely plays up to GameCube games very well, at least a nice portion of GameCube games very well. Some PS2 games you have to do a lot of tweaking on some of them. Some play perfectly right out from the emulator itself. Some 3DS games work. There's still some that need a lot of tweaking to actually get it to be playable. And there's some of the 3DS games the library are very unplayable. So if you think about just primarily for 3DS, definitely not worth the look. But for some PS2 games, some GameCube games, some Wii games, and lower end from that point on, they work very, very well. So that's just my thoughts on it. I'm a fan of the Anbernic RG505. I have no regrets, and at least in this situation there was no shady business, and I knew what I was getting when I bought it. So again, thanks for watching my video. Sorry it took so long for me to post it. If you do like this video, be sure to like and put a like on my channel, and be sure to subscribe. Turn on the notifications for future videos. And if you want to see any future games, or any games that you want me to play on this thing, just let me know. For those that are interested in buying one or have purchased one and just want to see the gameplay before actually adding it to their SD card, just leave me something in the comments. Again, this is Just Play Jay, and I'll see you guys real soon. Peace out.